Hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm so excited to bring on some guests, actually two of which are Full Sail grads from 2014. One we're going to be Skyping in, Sandra, we're going to be Skyping her in. She actually got a job working for Full Sail now, and she's in Jamaica. She's the international rep. She and her husband, Lance, who met here at Full Sail, yes, people do meet each other and get married and live happily ever after. And Lance is here today. And we also have an artist and a well-known DJ from the islands here to talk to you. And we're going to talk about SKYY Rock Fest and, you know, life after Full Sail and just all kinds of stuff and any questions that you have. I've been to Trinidad twice. My husband and I have been there twice to speak at a music conference. And we're planning to go again this April, and we're just hooked on it. It's just a fabulous thing. So let's bring these guys in, and then we're going to see a couple of movies. So come on in, guys. Okay, here's Lance. Lance, a Full Sail grad.
Hi.
Have a seat. Yes, and Mike Ross.
Hello.
Say hi. Yeah, great. Okay, we can sit down. And we're going to watch a couple of videos so you can see what I'm talking about and what all the excitement is and why it's worth a 4-hour flight to go see. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun today.
So this is our first promotional video for 2018 SKYY Rock Festival. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, we're back live on 951 and we're talking about the annual SKYY Rock Festival. And this year, SKYY Rock meets Wacken Metal Battle Caribbean, where one band from the Caribbean will perform live at Wacken Open Air in Germany. It's all happening April 28th at the Lynx Courtyard. See Facebook for details and stay tuned to 951.
So yes, that was our promotional teaser for the 2018 SKYY Rock Festival. We chose to do that gypsy theme because of Mike is a infamous radio host in Trinidad.
The things we do for rock and roll.
Yeah. So now I'm going to show you our recap video from 2018.
Well, doesn't that look exciting? Now you know why I like to go back every year. It's wonderful. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Now we're going to bring in Sandra. Sandra's coming in. She's in Jamaica right now. Sandra Smith, that's Lance's wife. She was a Full Sail grad from 2014. And we're going to bring her in from Jamaica.
Here we go.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Hi. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. I'm so glad you could join us this morning. This is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Why don't we just start with a little background. Lance, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Sandra, you can go next, and Mike, you can go next, and then we'll get into this. So go ahead.
So my name is Lance Smith. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. I graduated from the entertainment business program in 2014. And since then, I've used all my my best learning experience to transform some culture in Trinidad and make something that's not been done before, which is the SKYY Rock Festival. And I've done that with the help of my wife, with the help of great people like Margaret and Mike. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sandra?
Okay, yes. So I'm born and raised in North Carolina. Graduated from Full Sail University in Entertainment Business in 2014. From there, I did a little bit of everything. I worked with EDC, Florida Music Festival, did a little volunteering while I was studying at Full Sail and a lot of different festivals. After a year after graduating, that's when I moved to Trinidad with Lance and started working on SKYY Rock Festival. We're going on to 5 years now, and it's been an amazing journey, a huge learning experience as well, adapting to a new culture and learning more about the music industry in the Caribbean. And there's more to learn. Yes, so I'm so happy to at least be able to be present online.
Well, great. We're so happy you're here. And Mike?
Hi, everybody. Morning. First of all, Margaret, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and of course, Sandra and Lance for bringing me along. It's an amazing facility here at Full Sail. My name is Mike Ross, Michael Ross, but over the years, just became known as Mike Ross. Been playing music for 30 years. I'm a vocalist, at least I think so. And just various rock bands, original bands, local bands. Kind of strange, come from the Caribbean, which is really like calypso and soca music and dancehall and reggae and stuff. But for over the years, we always had a very strong rock, strangely enough, community in Trinidad. We like the hub of rock music in the Caribbean. And 19 years as a radio presenter, a host, DJ, jock, I don't know, different things. So yeah, that's basically me, just, music really.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad you could join us today. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Let's go back into the rock music. How did you get this concept, Lance? How did this develop? Because I want to tell you, last year when I was there, it sold out before the first band even got on stage. I mean, this is like a really, really big event for Trinidad. And bands come from all over, and now bands are we'll talk about that later. So just tell us how this all got started, Lance.
Well, it all got started because, as Mike just said, we focus predominantly on soca music, chutney music, dancehall music, reggae music coming out of the Caribbean. But when I moved back home after Full Sail, I said I don't really only want to be hosting the traditional types of festivals or fetes, as we call them, parties. It's usually party oriented, and I really usually like concerts and shows. I like more theater style events. So when I moved back, I just decided I'm not going to do a carnival event the next year. I'm going to do a rock show, a rock concert with 10 bands at $100 TT. And that was in 3 months of planning. And yeah, the first show was a complete success, massive success, and from there we just continued growing and developing ideas and changing concepts that we can always build on. Yeah. And then what happened after? Sandra eventually moved to Trinidad, and I had her in mind a lot when coming from the States because she loves the type of music that we produce here. And she'll get into that a little bit just now. So yeah, that's how we formed this festival in 2015, March 23rd, 2015. Yeah.
So how do you select the bands?
I'll let Sandra answer this one.
What are you looking for, Sandra, when you're selecting the bands to play?
Well, initially when I started doing the booking of the bands, it was really more based off of recommendations from a lot of the other bands that had already participated with the festival. Because I mean, it's a fraternity, so all the band members know each other. So it was, I mean, I wasn't familiar with barely any of the bands. I was barely moving to Trinidad. So it was really word of mouth. Other band members were recommending other bands, and once they would recommend them, that's when I would start looking for them on social media, seeing, you know, what other events have they done, if they had videos, or if they had, you know, any tracks online where I could actually get to hear their music. As we've gotten a little older, we've taken a bit of a different approach. We seek out more via online. Now that we're growing and other bands are coming from abroad as well, you know, typically a lot of these bands are sending us their EPKs. So it's more based off of what we're seeing, like their online presence. What type of shows that they're doing, if they're doing any recent work, how involved they are in the industry within Trinidad. So that's something that I really absorb more now than just taking word of mouth.
Okay, I understand that there's bands from Spain. I mean, that the word has gotten out, and that there's bands worldwide that
yeah,
now.
It's crazy. I mean, I've been getting, and the crazy thing is that, well, like like the month of April, I'm getting endless emails of bands wanting to get booked, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, we book our bands 1 year in advance, because I have my contract signed 1 year in advance before. So if you want us to keep you in mind, please just keep in touch with us. So we've had bands from Costa Rica, from Spain, from all over the world now that reaching out, and they're just finding us online, or sometimes they're meeting other musicians who go to other festivals and they hear about our event. So they're reaching out to us, and I mean, it's amazing. So it's very encouraging, and we definitely see where we can take SKYY Rock Festival in the next coming years.
Tell us a little bit about the Wacken Festival and your involvement with it.
Okay, so the way that we created that relationship with Jerry Ori, he's the Caribbean representative for Wacken Open Air. And he's the promoter who puts together the Caribbean competition, where they select one Caribbean band to go to Germany to perform on this stage. I mean, this is a massive event. This is an event where, you know, Alice Cooper is performing, you know, Iron Maiden is performing. So this is a big opportunity for a band to represent the Caribbean. So the way that we got in touch with Jerry was because two of the bands that have performed with SKYY Rock Festival participated in his competition. Actually, one of those bands won and was the first band in the Caribbean to go to Germany. They're called Lynchpin. So through them is how we started building this connection with Jerry Ori, along with through Wazir, who's another band member who's built this close relationship with Wacken Caribbean. So it really became, Jerry wanted for a while now to bring, Wacken Open Air Caribbean Battle to Trinidad. And he wanted to work with us. So it was a lot of talking for a little bit over a year, seeing how we could work together. So last year, early last year is when we finally were like, okay, if you want to, because we typically book 15 to 20 bands, and their competition consists of only 5 bands, we were like, well, maybe we can merge the 2 brands. And that's how this relationship was created. And I mean, it was great working with Jerry, and we hope to do so in the future as well. But yeah, I mean, it was really about just building a network. We had mutual colleagues in common, and that's just how we heard about each other. We heard about Jerry's work. Jerry heard about our work and professionalism. So that's how we were able to build this relationship.
And that's an every other year event, correct?
Yes, they do it every 2 years.
Every 2 years. Great, great. It's such an opportunity. The first time when I was there, year before last, it was a 2-day event.
Yes.
And Lance, maybe you can explain the 2-day event and why it switched down to 1 day.
Well, we decided to do the 2-day event because we realized that 1 day with 20 bands is a lot.
That's a long concert.
For our local patrons. So we decided to split the audience in two, having more of the heavy metal side on the Saturday night and the more alternative side on the Sunday night. It did well. We had a really good, well-attended event, but we did split the crowd two separate.
And let me explain something. If you're seeing a metal event, and they're not allowed to swear in Publix in Trinidad, so it was like, I'm not really understanding what they're saying here, because it's against the law for them to swear in public. So I mean, there's just different rules there. But keep going.
So this year we did make that great collaboration with the Wacken Metal Battle Caribbean, and it did add a lot of spunk to our event. We had over 800 patrons this year. It was the biggest show we had, and it was great that it sold out right on the day of the show. The crowd was amazing. The crowd was extremely eccentric. Everyone who's into rock and not into rock too much, because there was a lot of people who came to support the bands that they want to see. So it was a really, really amazing experience. We had Moko Jumbies, which are people on stilts, fire breathers. We had a lot of local culture intertwined within the performances. That's what we push a lot of. And the beach balls.
The big beach balls.
Beach balls kicked on the stage.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. But it went till 3 a.m. That was late. That was late for me. Maybe not for you guys, but for me it was late. But tell us about, you had to move the stage, because I know we have some show pro students here. You had to move the stage. Talk about the sound and why you had to move the stage.
Well, sound used to be our biggest drawback, because of the Environmental Management Authority. The noise pollution is a problem usually when you're hosting an outdoor event. So I moved my stage 4 times, each time of the festival. And this year, we faced it towards our building, and the music just bounced back. So the neighboring residents weren't affected, and it was the first time we didn't have any problems with the EMA, the Environmental Management Authority. So usually, the previous years, some bands will get upset that they have to lower down the volume. The decibel level is a bit too high, causing people to complain. But we finally pulled through with that. And I don't think we'll ever have that kind of problem anymore, sorry.
Sandra, you have anything to add to that about the sound?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really testing the waters because...
you can see the guys across the street. They have a stand, and they have a meter that tests how loud the music is. And you can imagine how loud it is. But it was like Sandra's sending them pizzas, all kinds of...
I am just trying to, kiss up and build a good relationship with them so that they can ease up on us. But thankfully, changing the stage, also the speakers no longer were hung up on the lanyards. They stayed on ground level. So that was another reason why it helped keep all of the music in the compound. But yeah, I mean, that was a whole learning curve on its own, dealing with the whole sound situation, because I mean, it's a stressful time whenever, you have a band on stage and they already did sound check at a certain decibel level. And then when they're on there and we have to lower the volume, because EMA is there, it really does hamper the energy that the band is feeling on stage, and then, you know, sometimes you get some backlash. I personally got a little bit of backlash because of it, but thankfully we were able to figure it out this year, and there was no issues with the sound.
Well, Mike, why don't you tell us about how you got involved with this? Mike is the MC for the event,
Sure.
and how many years have you been doing that?
Well, I missed the first 2 years of SKYY Rock. Strangely enough, both times I was actually up here in Florida. I come to Florida a lot. I like Florida. You know, because it's easy to come up here. We go to see concerts and that kind of stuff that we don't get at home, that kind of stuff. But eventually, 2 years ago, which would have been the third installment, basically, for me, as I said, 19 years on radio and stuff in Trinidad, I had become my nickname is really, I'm like the godfather of rock in Trinidad, because in my first 3 months of working at the radio station, they gifted me with a program, because again, the music in Trinidad really is the mainstream, is calypso and soca and the dancehall and the reggae and stuff. So rock music gets zero airplay on radio. You know, it's still a sort of you know, underground scene. So they gifted me with a program, so I started hosting bands live on radio. We used to do live performances in the station, interviews, and just the promotion of the local bands. So over the years, in most of the rock events that they have had in Trinidad, you know, I get called in because, as I said before, you know, I'm the sort of guy that promotes the whole rock scene, and have well, for my 19 years on radio. So Lance and Sandra came to me and said, would you host a show? Now, I realize in the States, even in multiple artist or band festivals, they don't really use what we do in Trinidad, which is like an MC, like an announcer or a host or whatever. But it's something we do a lot of in the Caribbean. Where if it's a multiple thing, then you normally have a guy that will come on stage and do announcements, bring the acts in and out, sponsored, that kind of stuff. So I got the invitation from Sandra and Lance if I would like to be the host of SKYY Rock, and I already saw the development over the, you know, so it was obviously a no-brainer, really, just to say, yeah, I would like to get involved with it.
Yep, it really is a happening
So for the last
thing.
2 years, I have been, and I hope for the next one as well, they're going to bring me back.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's really, you know, just because of my involvement with the whole music scene. As I said, I've been playing music in Trinidad for like, well, 30 years. And
some of you might have heard Gavin from SKYY Rock that played at the Treehouse. And Gavin plays, what's the name of the band he plays in?
SKYY Rock.
It's actually called SKYY Rock.
But the other one
as well, Feed the Flames.
Feed the Flames.
Oh,
Feed the Flames, yeah. And so you guys might have heard, and it's like you build these relationships with these artists. And he's from Guyana. I mean, people are coming from Sri Lanka, from all over to see, you know, to participate in this. And it's absolutely wonderful. And now you've got somebody coming maybe from Spain. Would you consider a band from the U.S.?
Yes, we've had many reach outs from bands in the States, in LA, and where else, Sandra? Where else did we get some?
Florida,
some
we did have a couple from Florida.
Okay.
A lot of cover bands and entertainment bands as well.
Okay. I know you've had some huge sponsors. Jack Daniels. I mean, the Jack Daniels girls come. I mean, Coors Beer. I mean, it's amazing. How do you get these sponsorships?
Well, at the venue, we also run our own bar and lounge. So we have the relationships with the drink sponsors by just purchasing from them repeatedly. But we were careful when we selected who we wanted to partner with this brand. And when we pitched it to Jack Daniels, they were all for it. And as well, we had a bidding war between the local beer and as well as Coors. Coors didn't really mind if there was another beer involved, but sadly our local provider did have a problem. So we went with a better bet, which was Coors. They provided more for us. They were always welcoming, and they always do something special. They always treat the band members very special with like 50 cases of beer.
Wow, isn't that amazing? I mean, this is big time, guys. This is really, really big time. Sandra, you have something else to say about the sponsorships?
Oh, well, I mean, we get in contact with our, like, to make sure that our sponsors keep us within their budget. So same thing goes with them. We're negotiating with our sponsors 1 year in advance as well, because when carnival season comes, no sponsors are in sight. You can't get in contact with them. So we make sure that by November, all of our sponsors have already negotiated their deal with us so that we're stay within their budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Trinidad is known for Carnival, and that happens in February. So, and the SKYY Rock Festival happens in April, and it's going to become on the National Registry of Tourism, which is really cool because that will be something for like cruise ships and everything else to bring more people in to Trinidad, which is great, which is absolutely great. What have your biggest challenges been?
I think the biggest challenge was, apart from the noise pollution, just getting it out there, rebuilding that anticipation within the rock community in Trinidad. And after realizing we just did the most basic groundwork, word of mouth, posters, flyers, and a lot of networking within bands, within the local bands. And I guess as well, what helped that was there wasn't a big show in such a long period of time. So we made sure that we gave the best experience when putting together the show. It has been a long time since, how many years since there was a show that had about 10 bands featured in one night with just drinks flowing and girls and all kind of different, different vibes. Jack Daniels girls, Coors girls, and all kind of different stuff. That was our biggest challenge, getting it out there. But it did help that it didn't have a show in such a long time.
Okay.
Couldn't do it without the support of the local community. And within 1 year, we had bands reaching out from South America, well, part of the Caribbean and South America as well. And it didn't take us that very long to reach back out to them, and they came as well between our shows, like in June. So we'll host a show for them, as well as let them come to Trinidad and get the experience, because a lot of them really do like to come to Trinidad to get that rock experience in the Caribbean.
Okay.
different.
Sandra, you have anything to add about the biggest challenge?
No, I believe he covered all of it.
Okay.
I think what he mentioned about the getting the word out there. I mean, every year we just try to find a different way to promote the festival. So what we did differently for the festival this year is that we did do a lot of more street promotion. So thankfully we've been able to build a solid committee with a lot of solid professionals as well who specialize in marketing, events, management. So we started actually booking pop-ups at different malls, at different plazas, so that we would be able to get more word of mouth out. And it was crazy. I mean, that made a really, really big difference. Even though the island isn't that big, a lot of people hadn't heard about SKYY Rock Festival. So actually going out to the streets and to all these different locations to promote made a huge difference as well.
Right, because the city that this takes place in is not the capital. It's not the major city at all. But everybody knows about it, and you can see it. And I know you turn on the radio and you hear the advertisements for it. So that's absolutely wonderful. What would you say, how do you measure your success?
I have not, I don't think I've reached the peak yet. I think I always have chance to grow as well. And even though it's 5 years, we do have a lot of long-term plans with the show. We intend now, with the great team that we have, as Sandra said again, this is the first time that we have created a ground team to help us in different fields of entertainment, people who are involved in different industries. And they all are very passionate as well, as much as us. So once we found these people, we've decided to expand it and hopefully one day be able to take the show outside of Trinidad and a moving show. So that's one of our goals. And when that happens, hopefully it's going to happen within the next 5 years, we'll know that we've reached our success.
I know Jay Noble asked you if you'd do it at Full Sail.
Yeah, and that was a pretty. Still getting over that. I'm in shock when he asked that.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Sandra, how would you measure your success?
Currently, I think knowing that all of the artists and the patrons can say that the experience has enhanced throughout the last, we've been doing it for 4 years. Next year will be 5 years. So within these 4 years. But like Lance said, we're always looking to grow and how we can make a bigger impact for not only SKYY Rock Festival and all the participating musicians, but just for the music industry in general.
Okay. One of the things that makes this unique and how...
Because a lot of people don't know that there's a rock industry in the Caribbean. So that's something that we really do want to bring a light to, and that's what we're working towards.
Okay. One of the things, and the reason that I got involved with this was they asked me to come and speak at a music conference. And this is something that's very unique. Do you want to talk about the music conference?
Yes. Sandra and I came up with this idea that we didn't want to just focus on just a show and just something to entertain the patrons, but we wanted to build the industry. So we started off with our first conference last year. We've had other guest speakers. Yes, we had...
no, 2 years ago.
2 years.
Because I've been
2017.
Yeah.
Sandra worked on a lot of people coming in. We worked with Ministry of Artists Registry, Fusion TT, Full Sail, which was a pleasure, and how many other people? COT, Copyright of Trinidad and Tobago. And you could tell them some more about how all the guest speakers, Sandra.
Okay, yeah, well, the first year, because it was the first time that we were doing it, I kind of always reached out to Margaret just for anything in general, just to get her feedback. Her feedback is always highly appreciated. So whenever we told her about, we were looking into doing a music conference, because we really wanted to not only provide a platform for the artists to perform, but also provide them a platform to educate themselves on how to really create a business and how to really maximize their music and the different platforms that are available for them in the Caribbean. And Margaret was completely for it and was like, yes, like I'm down to do, a panel for you guys. And so she was on board, and her and her husband did a presentation for us on, artist management and the business aspect of the music industry. But we also knew that a lot of artists are not registered. They don't know how to, claim their royalties, or even how to get, how to even anything about royalties sometimes. So it was an opportunity for us to just, bring these organizations on board. They were all excited to do so as well. And it was an opportunity for a lot of the artists that did participate to find out more information about how to get registered, how to claim royalties, how to seek grants as well. And after getting the feedback from the artists and seeing that it was informative to them, that's when we decided that this year we would try to, add a couple of extra speakers. But I think that next year we're going to do things a little bit different, because like I said, every year we're analyzing what we're doing and how we can make the experience better for everybody. So we will make a couple of changes next year. Instead of just doing the conference, we will do more like workshops for the artists, so they can select what they really want to, specifically what they want to learn about.
And I'd like to add that last year, Alex Knight here from Full Sail, he also came to Trinidad, and he spoke and had a good time. So
yeah, everybody loved his presentation for sure.
Yeah, great. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Because I can keep asking questions forever, but does anybody have any questions, or are there any questions online? Wait, we have a microphone that's going to come to you. Yes, I'm glad you have a question. Thank you. It's coming. It's right here. He's right here. I'm just so proud of you guys. It just seems like yesterday you were sitting in my class.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Hello, my name is Joey.
Hey,
Nice
Joe.
to meet you guys. I'm actually a musician. Been playing drums for 16 years, so this is pretty interesting to me. But so both of you guys graduated in 2014, right? And then you started this in 2015. So did you guys have a plan for this in school? Did you guys come together and like, hey, maybe this is a thing that we should just get going? Because it seems that you guys started it pretty quick. So I don't know, just a question.
Pretty much no, it was not a plan for me from school. It just came to me while I was in my office just deciding what to do next. And I just decided, it's been a while since I've heard any bands play. And anytime that we used to do it before I came to Full Sail, it was always a successful show, and it was always something different, something refreshing. It's a different vibe than the normal scene in Trinidad. And it was in December when I just decided to do it. I Skyped Sandra a lot. She was still here. And I said, this is what I'm thinking to do. What do you think about it? And she thought it was a really good idea. And I said, well, you know, when you move here, that was also just in a conversation. You know, we'll have something very fun to do together. And within that first 3 months, the last week, yes, I printed 1,000 tickets, being very ambitious. And I sold 500. And that was probably the biggest event I had since I moved. That was the biggest event I ever had so far in my time since this year. It was just a decision.
And then one last question: did you find it not scary, but like maybe a little, just like a tiny bit intimidating, getting a new market of music into Trinidad where rock isn't really that prevalent? You know,
that's always scary. You know, we're trying to do what some people say the impossible, but it's my passion. So it's something that I don't want to give up. Whether it's very difficult, whether how long it takes, I know we'll make some movement. And funny enough, we see a lot of people outside of the country respect it and really want to be a part of it, which is what keeps us going. And Sandra, you have anything to add with that question?
Oh yeah, it's always scary, like Lance said, because I mean, the whole week of SKYY Rock Festival, I think we're all biting our nails and having late nights and everything, because I mean, you never know what can happen. Usually in the month of April, it's raining a lot. We do get rain early in the morning. Yeah. Thankfully, it hasn't rained during the festival, knock on wood. But yeah, it's scary. I mean, but we trust the work that we put into it. I mean, like I said, it's 1 year of planning, and we put all of our best efforts into it. I know that our teammates put the best effort into it. So we just hope for the best. We know that the bands, like I say, they're planning months and months in advance for their sets, because a lot of the bands release new music for the festival. But it's nerve-wracking regardless. No matter how much you plan, it's going to be nerve-wracking, because you just want to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Once the festival is done, once we're down to like the last band, that's when we're like, okay, we can finally breathe. Everything went well.
And then I guess one last part of that last question. I guess you helped a lot, being the godfather of rock in Trinidad, trying to get that out there. But were there any unexpected or expected hiccups in the process of creating SKYY Rock? And that's
creating it. Unexpected hiccups. Nothing too unexpected. I did actually expect the place to become more trashed, and people trying to sneak in drugs or something. But people are extremely well behaved, which is very surprising. The mosh pit gets exciting. People have fun, but it doesn't get violent. We've only had like one fight the first year, and those people got kicked out within 30 seconds. And we've not had. I mean, you'll have the usual. I mean, haters. I guess I don't know why, because half of them are inside of the show. But it doesn't do anything to us, because we realize at least the more people talking about it, the better for us.
There's a little bit of a joke sometimes in Trinidad. Well, they know about it now. We know about mosh pits and slam dancing and that kind of stuff. And when it first happened, the security is like, the thing is, there's a riot about to begin, and we had to explain to them, well, this is just all part of it, the head banging and the slam dancing and that kind of stuff.
So what classes or courses here at Full Sail you think have helped you with your success?
Oh, about 70% of them. Definitely event management, my final project. What else did I really think helped? Artist management. There's so many different programs. Marketing, because most of my classes I based my projects on businesses at home, not businesses in the States. So I would be able, when I reach home, how to relate everything I learned, especially how to do the sponsorship proposal professionally. That helped. Still, if anyone's in that program right now, when you're going to, just keep in mind all those templates and tools that you're getting are extremely useful, and you better put it to the right use because it helps in the long run.
How about you, Sandra? What classes you think were helpful for you right now?
Sandra.
Can she hear?
Oh, I'm sorry, it froze for a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, definitely artist management, event management were one. I mean, those were like I think two of the main classes that I was looking forward to before I even started Full Sail. So those were the big ones because that's a lot of what I deal with. Lance works more on the financial aspect and budgeting aspect of the festival, and I focus more on the event management and artist management part of the event. So those were definitely big. They helped me out a lot for sure, okay. Especially with in regards to artist management, because you're working with so many different types of personalities and knowing how to just keep your cool regardless of how anyone else is reacting to unforeseen circumstance. Okay. So for sure, but I mean, all the other classes were just as helpful. But for me, my favorite ones and the ones that I know I continue to practice in my career is event management and artist management.
Well, how I reconnected with Lance was through Facebook, and I used to teach final project. Now I'm teaching economics, but Lance had come up with this wonderful final project, and all of a sudden I see on Facebook he's doing it. It was like, whoa. And it was like, Lance, you're doing your final project for real. And it was a burlesque show. And it was like, this is like really cool.
Different.
So
yeah, that's something still in the making as well.
I think that's how we connected, right after graduation. It was like, wow, I'm glad to see that all this work you put into your final project is actually working for you. Yeah. So that's great. Does anybody else have any questions?
We have an online question from Reinmark, who is a sportscasting student. He is originally from Puerto Rico, and he has a few questions for you guys. First, he would like to know if there's ever been any Puerto Rican bands playing in the SKYY Festival. And he would also like to know, since you guys have started the SKYY Festival, how has the rock industry or how has the rock trending changed in Trinidad?
Okay, well, first, no, sorry, we did not have a Puerto Rican band play yet at the festival. I'm sure there'll be some inquiries, but what's the second question again, sorry?
How have you changed the environment?
How we changed it? Well, we did see a spike in the amount of events that they are rock-related in Trinidad, whether they're small or medium scale or whatnot. There are other promoters who are pushing the agenda as well, who are focused more on the media and the talent side of it, pushing the music itself. I prefer the event-based industry, and we've seen growth since 2015 to now, but we still have a lot to grow within the industry, but I think that is going to happen when we get even more either regional and international bands coming just to be part of this.
Yeah, because more recently, with the event of Wacken and the band that went from Trinidad, first Caribbean band. And if you're familiar with Wacken, it's one of the biggest open-air heavy metal music festivals in the world. It happens every year in Germany, and they were actually people from the media and the press actually wanting to find out about this band and how they got there, and that hasn't really happened a lot you know, over the years. It's always been there, but now we are seeing a little bit more focus on that style of music coming out of the Caribbean. Plus, we have a thing that we do now too, where we're starting to fuse international heavy metal with Caribbean rhythms, and again, you know, you get more of that sort of Caribbean vibe coming in. So we're actually now sort of creating a genre of music which we call in Cari metal, or you know, there's something to that effect, Caribbean metal, or which, you know, brings that sort of a different flavor.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions out there? Oh, here's one.
Name is Damon. How you doing? I'm a show pro student. My question is, what is like finding the right production company and organizing the whole, you know?
I should have rethought the challenging question, you know, the answer for the challenges. That actually is one of the biggest challenges. But I've actually just for the sound engineer, but my production company that I use, Fusion TT, they have been with us since the beginning till the end, and I mean they're not probably the standard of Full Sail, but they're on the same, almost the same level. We have had no problems with them. They do my lights, the sound, the engineering, the stage, every single thing, from the entrance all the way to the toilets.
So tell them how big the stage is.
Oh, we use a 20 by 24 stage. It takes up a lot of space in our compound, but that's the kind of experience we want. We don't want to see people on a tiny stage jamming out. We want to give the bands a good platform for them to jam out and have a good time as well, and make sure that they engage the crowd 100%. So we make sure that they work with the sound engineers beforehand. If they want to use any specific lighting styles or anything, they have a good chance provided to them at least 2 months before the show. We say, like, you know, you need to meet up if you want to do anything special. We do encourage you to do something special, because we don't want it to just be, you know, you just come and plug and play. We try to create that platform for people to see you. So we want more prominent people to be attending the show. So, you know, these locals and the regional bands will be able to do something more. And as you said, Gavin did network by himself. This is the guy from Guyana. He did a really good job. He came from Guyana to Trinidad for 2 years in a row, and now he toured this year. He came to Full Sail. He went to New York, a lot of different places.
No, the stage is incredible, and it's amazing how long it takes to set it up and how quick it takes to tear it down.
Yeah, one day.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Danielle,
I'm seeing a guy here in a Carib hat.
Does somebody?
So yeah. I just wondered if he's familiar with Trinidad.
Well, I'm Margaret Cox, and I'm so happy that you're here, and I hope you have enjoyed this presentation as much as we have. Sandra, you take care in Jamaica. She's in Jamaica right now, working for Full Sail. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yes, so glad you're here. Thank you very much, Lance. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And good luck to everybody.
I did want to mention one thing. Lance also has printed these T-shirts, and I love the back of your shirt. If you don't mind showing everybody the back of your shirt, I like the back. See, support local rock. I just love that shirt. And anyways, I told him he should have brought some. And if you're interested in buying the T-shirt, you can talk to me, and we'll figure. And Mike's shirt too. Music is Life, SKYY Rock Festival. Lance prints these up himself. And so if you're interested in getting one of these cool shirts, I'm sure we can hook it up. You're coming back in December, right, for the Christmas party? That's what I understand? Yeah, so anyways, put your order in before December so Lance can make them in. Okay, thank you guys again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.